Now, see the seconds are coming, no? Now it's starting. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram,
Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Today at about 4 o'clock, 4:30 probably, when we were about to come from our room, he made us to think that I have been hammering on the point of this constant God around us. It might be, the same topic is being repeated and repeated and repeated. Something like drudgery or boredom might creep in, might creep. So then he prompted us to take the book In the Vision of God. But again when we open the cashier, you know what is the title? Ramdas's Chat with Ram. But there is a lighter way, no doubt. But at the same time it is profound. You just read. That is, Papa was coming down from the Vasishtha Gura. You all remember the behavior of that particular person who was staying at that time. How he did not encourage Papa to stay in Vasishtha Gura. And then when he went there initially, you might be remembering, those who have read the Vision of God. Papa, after a long travel, tedious, risky travel, he reached from Surgashram, Haridwar to Rishikesh to Vasishtha Gura. So when he reached and landed there, one person was found occupying the Vasishtha Gura. He immediately, flared at him. So he said, the word first he said, a man from the village brings me milk at noon every day and they pay him down cash. Do you understand? The sadhu who is staying there was telling Papa, if you would have any food, you ought to climb up the hills and get bhiksha from the villagers. To go up and down for it will absorb most of the day. And at that rate, it would not be worth your while to stay here. So I would advise you to leave this place as early as possible. What are your plans? How long do you intend? Papa replied, Ramdas has no plans. He does not know how long Ram wishes him to stop here. All depends upon him. As regards food, Ramdas is averse to taking solid food at any place where he wants to devote all his time to God in wakefulness and meditation. Since God has granted him the staying power even on water for some days, he would prefer not to climb the hill in search of food. The sadhu was roused by his reply. Intently gazing on Ramdas, he said, enough of your God. I have known many sadhus of your type who speak of water fast but could not observe it even for a single day. None of you are bragging to me. Ramdas could clearly see that Ram was at his old game again. You see that, this is important. Behind everything, Well, you say, he went on, you would not take solid food, that means you are for liquids. Quite so, water only, or milk if Ram provides. Sadhu Bharsha, there you are, now the cat is out of the bag. Now bending himself towards Ramdas and pointing his long forefinger, with a look full of contempt and words tinged with sarcasm, he said, have you come here to share a part of my daily drink of milk and starve me to death? Is that what you mean? Ram, what a consummate actor you are. As is the master, so is the servant. Ramdas, who learned all this art at your feet, can beat you on your own ground. The play was now assuming a beautiful turn. Ramdas coolly replied, Ramji, it is far from Ramdas's wish to have any share of your milk. If Ram, who is all love, provides, he would have. If he chooses not to, he will be content with mere water, which can be had in plenty from Mother Ganga. Those who have visited Vasishtha will know, right in front of the Vasishtha is Ganga flowing. We shall see, said the sadhu. Now for the night which is fast approaching, I shall show you 2 caves, come out. You may occupy any one of them. He took Ramdas out into the open, pointed out 2 small caves, one to the left and the other to the right of the big cave in which he lived. Anyway, that is the history. And finally, for the sadhu, though he said so, next day he tried with, he came to him with milk. Papa said, this is the last time. Ramdas accepts your milk on condition that he should not be offered again. And even if you do, he would not have it by any means. The sadhu excitedly said, all right. Second day. And like that 4 days went on. Papa was living on water first. 5th day, the inner call came. Now he says, so he went to the other man. See, here we should know all these things. There is no ego there. Neither on the part of the other sadhu, nor on the part of Papa. Though he shouted and looked at, there is no ego there. I said, Papa went to him, and what Papa was said, nice fellow you are. So he sorry. These 5 days, this sadhu was telling, these 5 days, Papa went to him and tell him, he is closing his fast, but he is very weak, can you give him some food? So the other man, there is no ego there. He immediately checked up, there was no stock. So he, along with Papa, walked a few distance, saw somebody there in the village, then turning to the sadhu, he said, out of the stock of get me something for it. Here is money for the purchase of the things. Look here is a sadhu who has been fasting for 5 days, he wants food. I have no foodstuffs with me. Will one of you run up to your village on the hills and get me for one meal? Here is the money. They glanced at Ramdas. Turning to the sadhu, they said, out of the stock of wheat flour, ghee and dal, we have with us, we can spare in a meal, but we will not accept any price for it. The sadhu remonstrated, the one who was in Vasishtha Gura. That will not do. You shall accept the price of the thing. I wish to feed him at my expense. So he persuaded them to take the price. They returned to the cave with the articles. The sadhu was quick and neat. at cooking, and in less than half an hour he prepared 4 rotis smeared with ghee and curry of green dal. When he was at his task, he chose to have a few words with Ramdas. Nice fellow you are. These 5 days you have been frying me. See? As I am now frying these rotis. Your fast has created a flutter in all the villages over the hills, where from so many people brought milk and foodstuffs for you, while you were sitting on that rock oblivious of everything. I sent them all back, for I dared not go and tell you. You denied me even the pleasure of feeding you with milk. Here Ramdas interrupted, what Maharaj? Why shirk it? You have brought it about by your own words. That you have come here to make me starve, no? Atithi cried out impatiently. You fling at me again and again. Now this is the most touching expression of Gopal. Ramdas looked straight at him, and the sadhu covered beneath the gaze. Then Ramdas said, Maharaj, please listen. Ramdas is a humble servant and innocent child of God. He came here by his will alone. It is again he who prompted him to fast during these days. Ramdas never expected you to feed him. From the very first, you thought of driving Ramdas away. You tried to frighten him, but Ramdas could not be frightened. You spoke harshly to him, but Ramdas could not be scared. You denounced him, and yet Ramdas remained good-humoured and calm. This is not one side. Now we are talking, this is not one side. On the other, you were extremely kind to him. You compelled him to drink milk on the first day. You granted him the happy privilege of staying for a night in your cave. You regaled him with sweet drinks and tobacco, and gave him fire even at dead of night. Your appearance shows, because of this fast, you have been feeling anxious about Ramdas. Ramdas knows that this is all Ram's play. Kindness and harshness are the same to him. This is how we extract, from his life. When somebody is harsh, when somebody is kind, how are we to take it? These are things brought out through his life. It is not a theory, it is not a dictum, it is not a dogma, it is not a principle. It is something God has tested him, verified him and brought out this. Kindness and harshness are the same. He does not know what yoga or Atmakatha means. He is a simple believer in the all-powerful name of God. It is the name that has brought Ramdas face to face with him. Okay, that is another thing. Then later on he moves from there, and now he says Ramdas was chat with Ram. This is what we have to keep on thinking when we are talking about constancy in remembering him. You can sit there. As he walked on, he came upon a sloping hill. Here he discovered at the edge of a cliff a cave, deep hollow in a rock. He peeped into it. It was utterly dark inside. He had heard that such caves were usually for wild beasts. He thought that he had now an opportunity of getting darshan of Ram in the form of a tiger or a lion. He jumped into the cave and shouted, Hari Om! 3 times, awaited the result. None came out of the cave. It was Ram's will that he should not come face to face with wild fields. He came out. There was a yawning before him, a deep precipice. This had to be climbed down. Now the chat. This is something we have to think about it. Now Ram, what do you propose? Fear not, child, listen. Papa has been telling about this inner dialogue. He is there in the form of life force, he is there in the form of consciousness, and he is also making us to talk. The sound is also coming from him. So we don't have to think of a supernatural thing. Even every word now comes because he is there. The base is life force intertwined with consciousness. or consciousness intertwined with life force. And the sound comes. So he hears the sound. Oh, now Ram, what do you propose? Fear not, child, listen. Ramdas turned round, slowly lowered himself and began to crawl down. The body of Ramdas seemed to be like an inflated rubber doll, so light, buoyant. Breathing had automatically stopped. The fragile foot supports had at times been trembling, sending down bits of stone layers through the pressures of the foot, producing by their fall reverberating sounds at the depth of the valley below. What time it took him to reach the bottom of the ravine, he had no idea. It all appeared to be so short. He at last alighted at the base. Here again he cried out, "Hayo!" making the giant hills all around resound with echo. Ramdas exclaimed, "Ram, how glorious you are! You have made Ramdas perform a most marvelous feat." Ram rejoined, "This is not all. More feats are in store for you. Get here." Ramdas continued his journey in the cool shade of the titanic trees. Ramdas, "O Ram, how blessed is Ramdas to be conscious of your company. With him, even in this lonely place." "My child," Ram assured Ramdas, "you shall in future be always aware of my presence with you. You shall in future be always aware of my presence with you, in you, everywhere about you." We are trying to get some more clarity on the word constant or remembrance, anusmaranam. You shall in future be always aware of my presence with you, in you, everywhere about you. I grant you this knowledge based upon your perfect oneness with me. I and you are one. Ramdas hearing this laughed with intense joy. Then again keeps on talking, something lighter. So he reached back Swargash. We must have read this chapter many number of times in this satsanga itself during these past 20-30 years. Every time, you will be laughing and only. You remember the Swargashram? The Kumbh Mela. So he was staying with the sadhu. And here also there is something for us to deeply think. Because it was Kumbh Mela, so many pilgrims were coming, so they were staying in a small kutia, so they were throwing these coins. every now and then, the other sadhu will collect all the coins, and then he will be very happy. Then he will go to the bazaar, buy some tea packets, milk, everything, and prepare tea. Papa was watching this. And Papa said, "Sadhuji, God has provided us with a shelter in the kuti and is feeding us with 1 meal a day." When they go to the Anakshatra, He wills that we should devote all our time in His remembrance. Now what are we doing? Tea, eatables, meal have become the sole things of our lives. Sadhus have nothing to do with money. The moment you have surplus money after your creature needs are met with, you think of the ways how you should spend it. You run to the bazaar for things which you can do without and get into a whirlpool of deluding activity. So in future, we shall not accept any coins from the visitors. We will pray to them not to offer any. Let us see how much we have already accumulated. The sadhu at first rebelled against the suggestion, but at last yielded when Ramdas asked him to choose between him and the money. He lowered the bag from the peg on the wall, poured out its content. The amount was about 5 rupees. This is in 1925-26 period. 5 rupees a big amount. Mostly copper coins. The sadhu was for the time being convinced of what Ramdas told him. See, no ego there. I am right, you are wrong. That feeling is not there. Everything is being rationalized. Everything is put before them. So this is something which we have to learn. No? I am right, you are wrong. That is the one thing which causes all our problems. But here we find, okay, the sadhu did not ask anybody. It came by itself. So naturally the tendency was there to say something. Naturally it was there to rush up to this thing. But Papa was vigilant. Papa was seeing how the God is playing the trick. Whether he is testing us, whether we get deluded by the flow of money. So what shall we do with the money? How can you hand over, shall we give to somebody sadhu, some other sadhu? How can you hand over a thing to another sadhu when you have found it bad for yourself? Then what should be done? The only way is to throw away the money and you have done with it. Let somebody take it. At this hint, the sadhu opened his eyes wide at Ramdas. Come, fetch the coins. And both his hands full of coins to a meshy thorny bush which was perfectly inaccessible. Now throw the coins. It was a test on the sadhu also. At one fling the coin flew into the thick bush, disappeared. Now they returned. Then, Kumbh Mela. The main day of the Kumbh Mela approached. It was to be on the morrow. Ramdas asked the sadhu if he had any idea of attending the festival at Haridwar. Sadhu seemed to have a great desire to be present at Haridwar the next day for the great occasion. He requested Ramdas to go with him. Papa did not by himself. Ramdas also wished to see the fun. That they had good fun at their fair will be clear from what follows. They started in the afternoon. Another old sadhu who was a permanent resident of Sargashram also joined them. They made a halt at the night at Narayan Chutti. Okay, all those things. It was a tremendous gathering, a seething mass of humanity. It was that over 13 lakhs of people, just imagine mid-20s, 13 lakhs of people had assembled there for the gathering. The Muhurta or auspicious hour for bathing in the Brahma-Kund was 4 hours after midnight. The belief goes that those who bathe in the Kund at this psychological hour will attain immortality. Ramdas did not appreciate nor had any belief in the cheap method of earning immortality. God had granted him the supreme blessing already by making him pass through the necessary struggle and sadhana. He was there to witness the magnificent mela of lakhs of people. The very sight of the vast crowd sent him into ecstasy. Till 12, the mass of humanity was lying still on the banks of the river. Now commenced a movement like a huge wave rising in the ocean. Thousands of pilgrims made a rush towards the coveted Brahma-Kund. 2 sadhus and Ramdas had to join the rabble. The sadhus, to prevent their being separated from each other, had their hands interlocked with one another. The crowd had to move very slowly. Sometimes they took more than 5 minutes to cover a yard of ground. Hundreds of police were present to maintain order and prevent accidents. On and on they went. At certain stages, the crowds halted for half an hour, over half an hour. No further movement was possible on account of the march of a thick crowd from the opposite direction. Thousands of people at the back pressed on them. They were crushed, squeezed as a sugarcane in the juice extracting machine. The sadhus bellowed forth. The old sadhu, who had newly joined them, was frightened. He said, I don't want bath in the Kund or any such pleasant thing. He cried out, I were wet out of this insufferable condition with my bones and skins whole. But there was no escape. They had bargained for the experience. They must go through it willy-nilly. The sadhu's one thought was freedom. Freedom from the most uncomfortable situation in which he found himself. And he counted such freedom as nothing short of immortality. At last, They reached a square open place on a broad road where a number of police, with the help of their long lathis used for fencing, had kept at bay to onrushing crowds from opposite direction. The sadhus crouched close to a sweetmeat shop on the roadside. A moment had not passed when the lathi fence gave way in one direction, owing to the enormous pressure of the crowd, and what ensued was pandemonium. Cries, yells, stamping, cursing went in the air. The old sadhu, who was close to Ramdas, giving himself up for lost, gave out a piercing shriek. Ramdas was leaning against the wall of the shop, and he found two men standing on his knees, two on his shoulders, and one on his neck, which bent down with the weight. All through this marvelous experience, he was perfectly calm and collected. At that time, he remembers to have had his breathing entirely stopped. Ramdas was leaning against the wall of the shop. He found two men standing on his knees, two on his shoulders, one on his neck, which bent down with the weight. All through this marvelous experience, he was perfectly calm and collected. At that time, he remembers to have had his breathing entirely stopped. He sustained the heavy human bodies with ease. If he had fallen down, he would have been trampled upon to pulp, but God's protecting hand was ever on him. Ramdas now heard a cry from the old sadhu. A stout mother had taken up a standing position on his chest. On his chest. And he was praying, "Oh mother, you are my dearest mother. Please do come down from my chest. I cannot bear your weight. Oh mother, 1,000 dandavats." And what did the mother say? "I can't do it, Sadhuji." The moment I jump to the ground, I am done for. Have patience for a while. Oh, shouted the sadhu, "You are then bent upon killing me. Why did I come here at all? Cursed be the thought that guided me to this death path." The tense situation lasted only for a few minutes. The police got the crowds well in hand again. Space was cleared. Ramdas was relieved of his burden, and so also the old sadhu. Sadhu drew a long breath of inexpressible relief as the stout lady abandoned her perch upon his breast. Till the evening of the next day, they were driven hither and thither by the rushing crowds of the police, and they could not disentangle themselves from the vast and intricate human riddle. Ramdas was reminded of the perplexing fortresses of Mahabharata war. However, after the sun had gone down, they found a way out, proceeded towards Rishikesh with as much speed as they could muster. Over 100 casualties had occurred during the night stampede and the violent onsets. In the night, they stopped again at Narayan Chutti. Next day, they reached Sargashram. The fright and fatigue to which the old sadhu was subjected in the Mela told upon him, and he was laid up with fever, nervous debility for over a week, while Ramdas and his companion sadhu were sound as bells, not any the worse for the trying experience they had passed through. Now, though the lighter vein is there, Papa is also bringing out that because he had established the communion with him, he was not feeling. He was very weak. We should know that for 5 days he was observing water fast. He was very weak. He had just come there. He had not recouped his health. But nowhere we find any expression of frustration. So that means, the constant communion with him has enabled him to draw the needed strength to bear every ordeal bravely. And this constant communion had made him to hear the assuring words that I am always with you. While chanting Ramnam, if we keep on bringing this dimension, at least we will be inching towards it. Very difficult, agreed. Snail speed. We will be inching towards it. When we do this slow Ramnam, we try to bring in this dimension. You are making me to chant. You are the sound. You are the consciousness. You are the life force. You are the prana. And you are making me to chant. Why don't you make me feel this companionship permanently? Just like what Papa got it, why don't you please give me? We may have to wait, we don't know. But patiently, perseveringly, we will continue this. But here he gives us a clue. Today when he directed us to go to this particular portion, Ram chats with Ramdas. And later on this episode, where somebody was standing on his chest, shoulder, knees, neck. What an amount of strength. Either he was not identifying with the body. In one of the we were sharing with Sri Krishna. Today we happen to read what is the meaning of Mahatma. We always say he is a Mahatma. Like Swami Ranganathan Maharaj says, anyone who outgrows the limitation of the me and mine, this body, Atma, Mahatma. The cosmic self is there, the cosmic Atman is there. So when we step out from the cage of our own, and that person is called a Mahatma. That means not merely identifying ourselves with the body, cage. Toughest, we can only read. But this is the meaning of Mahatma, who has grown out of this me and mine, who has been freed from the sense of individuality, who is always thinking on a wider dimension, not from the level of an individual, from the level of the cosmic level, universal level, global level. He is a Mahatma. So Papa, we can say, he was able to bear all these because he was able to see it as a fun. He went there to watch the fun. If he had identified himself with the sense of individuality, his body, it would not have been possible at all. Like the other sadhu who cried, So many learnings. So the main theme of today's reading is that somehow this constancy has to be prioritized. We may be doing so many things under the banner of spiritual exercises, but the pivotal factor is that I must always remember him. Who is in me, with me, around me, in the form of life force, in the form of consciousness, in the form of love, in the form of creativity, in the form of goodness, in the form of everything, not only goodness. We saw that harshness and cruelness. Through one form he does to another form he does. In the same person also it is there. The asuric force and the daivic force. In the 16th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he elaborately points out. Why did he point out? It is not a thing to be brought from the market. It is not a thing to be learned from somebody else. It is inherent in all of us. We have to touch and kindle. Never to give in for the asuric. There are two levels, the higher level and the lower level. When we identify with the lower level, all the deplorable things happen to us. When we identify ourselves with the noble dimension, all noble things happen to us. These two are there. And we have been at least given a sense of freedom to choose between these two. We found that here. The sadhu in the Vasishtha Ashram, though apparently he was rough, apparently he was not service-minded, apparently he was not selfless, he also was selfless. The quality, care and concern also came out of him. Not because somebody told him, this is very important. After the water fast, when Papa was very weak, he came to the same sadhu and told him to give him some food. Immediately, the transformation took place. The goodness in him started coming out. So it's a pointer to us, don't write off anybody. Nobody is irrelevant, nobody is unimportant, nobody is insignificant. So every reading throws some light, and then immediately after that he says Ram chats with Ramdas. And the assurance he gives, who Ram gives to Ramdas. The assurance, the indwelling reality gives to this sense of individuality. By prayer, by rigorous practice. It is not we cannot say we are practicing it. We are comfortable, no? We are reading this in a comfortable state of affairs. But in his case, just imagine, mentally you place yourself in that Vasishtha Guha. From Vasishtha Guha he is on his way to Swargashram, and from Swargashram to this Kumbh Mela. Probably after the sannyas centenary year, we may be able to pick out so many such things from in the vision of God and to dwell upon it and then strengthen our practice of remembering Him, consolidating our efforts to remember Him, even while leading an ordinary life. This is what is expected of us, and this is what we are praying for Him to give us the needed strength to keep up. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.